Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another hands-on video where we're going to be comparing original gangstas, original prints of Mystery of the, or not Mystery of the Ages, but of Mr. Armstrong books compared to the reprints. So as you can see, these are all originals that you see in front of you. My expansion is greatly expanded. We have Volume 1 of the Autobiography of Herbert Armstrong, and also Volume 2 of the Autobiography of Herbert Armstrong. Now, as you can see, these are both thick books, and I haven't read either one through, but just comparing these two to the Philadelphia reprint, notice this is the Philadelphia reprint of the Autobiography of Herbert Armstrong. So what the Philadelphia crew did is that they took both volumes 1 and 2 and then they reprinted it into just this one volume. But as you can see how thick it is. Do you think they actually got those three thick things in here? No, like I said, I haven't read it through, but the last 14 chapters of Volume 2, they butchered. They just took them right out, and the last 14 chapters of this book are not even in this reprint. It's pretty wild. Like I said, I haven't even read it through, and I'm sure the parts in there's some other editing to it. But again, I'm thankful I have these originals. So that's just a comparison between the autobiography. Then next in line is the original Mystery of the Ages. I already made a video on this, read it through, very great book. This is an original 1980 final edition of the United States and Britain in Prophecy. I've also read this one all the way through, and interestingly, I didn't find any discrepancies between the original 1980 edition and this Philadelphia Church of God reprint. You can tell it's a reprint because notice on the cover, it doesn't even say Herbert Armstrong's name. Well, compared to this is the original. But other than that, I didn't notice anything different. I'd like to read it through. Then I picked up this. This is the 1978 Tabernacle Editions of the Incredible Human Potential. I've read this one all the way through also, and it's a very great book. And I did notice some discrepancies between the original 78 Tabernacles edition, and this is the Philadelphia Church of God reprint. What year, I don't know what it is. I think it's the early 2000s. But what I did notice from here, it's similar to how the statement in Mystery of the Ages, chapter 6 and 7, where Mr. Armstrong states that there's no prophet over God's church in the New Testament, because the New Testament is a complete book for our time. And that statement is originally in this book, but it was pulled out of the reprint of Philadelphia. Imagine that. And again, it's pretty much the same thing that's pulled out. And the reason I drive this home, Mr. Armstrong says this in his books repeatedly, and they're pulled out repeatedly, because any prophet that claims he got fresh revelation from God, but it's not in line with the Scripture, Isaiah says if they don't speak according to this word, it's because there's no truth in them. So these supposed prophets who have such great revelation that it outruns the Bible, that's just a load of crap, and you ain't got time for that. Alright, next in line, actually I read through this one too. Let's jump order. I read through this one, The Wonderful World Tomorrow, What It Will Be Like. It's a short book, hardcover book. What was it, 7 chapters? And I didn't know this when ordering it, but I actually ordered the same book. This is actually the same book. It's just called Tomorrow, What It Will Be Like. And in both of these books, again, is the statement how there's no prophet over God's church in the New Testament, because the Bible is a complete book for our day. But this here is the Philadelphia Church of God reprint, and guess what statement they conveniently didn't print? Oh, the part about no prophet being over God's church in the New Testament was left out of that. this book I'm currently reading through, so I haven't read it through. This is an original 1980 hardcover edition of The Missing Dimension and Sex. It's been a few years since I actually read this through, so I'm looking forward to going through it. So I really can't say whether anything was changed with this or not, compared to the Philadelphia reprint here. Now, here's the little booklets section. Check all these out. Let's start here. This one, Proof of the Bible. This is an original, what year was it printed? 1958 edition. And this one has 41 pages. And this is the Philadelphia reprint of this, Proof of the Bible. It's very much changed because this reprint only has 24 pages. And there's no pictures or anything in this. It's all, well, there's a few of them, but not enough to change how many page difference is in it. So obviously these are changed. I haven't read it through, but just comparing the page numbers, the changes, you can see it. Alright, now let's keep going through this stack. What else we got here? These are two original pamphlets. What do you mean salvation and what is faith? They're actually made of paper. Kind of, you know, you can tell they're older when it wasn't called the Worldwide Church of God, but the Radio Church of God. And then we have this one, the Book of Revelation Unveiled at Last. The Philadelphia Church of God don't even have this one. They don't even reprint that. That's weird that they claim they're trying to uphold Armstrong's legacy, but they don't even have these books. Or they don't have this book either, The Plain Truth About Easter. This is the 1957 edition. There's actually a 1973 edition that's more finalized. I'm looking for it, but right now I got the 57 edition. Never Before Understood Why Humanity Cannot Solve Its Evils. That's another book that the Philadelphia Church don't reprint. This is the original Who or What is the Prophetic Beast. Now this book I've read through, and comparing it with the Philadelphia Church of God's reprint, there's changes made. Notably, there's a change made where there's a part Mr. Armstrong. Also, the pictures are changed. If you notice, the original pictures in the Armstrong book are the same pictures that I usually use for my videos when talking about these beasts. But the pictures are changed in the reprint. Notice it ain't those, it's some, I mean, that ain't that big of a deal. But in the original, when calculating 666, there is a part where Mussolini's name comes, here, right here. It says, and Mussolini too. And it explains how Mussolini called himself Il Duce, and Viva Il Duce, it came up to 666. And that's interesting. And I don't know why they would pull that out of here, because it ain't like it contradicts what the Philadelphia Church teaches, because Mussolini was just one of the leaders of the sixth head of the Holy Roman Empire. So there were changes made to these. And then I haven't read this through. This was actually reprinted in 1987, a year after Mr. Armstrong died. The original, Did God Create a Devil, had a black and red cover, and the first half of it was written by Mr. Armstrong. The last half of it was written by his son Gardner Ted, and actually is a really good booklet. But this one has 5 chapters, and again it was made after Mr. Armstrong died. And it says here the original text by Herbert Armstrong. So I don't know if they actually changed it or not. So I'm not going to buy any Armstrong books if they're after 1986 when he died. And then the final book I have to compare in this video is this one. This is The 7 Laws of Success. This is a very thick booklet. I mean, the pages are thick. It was a I think it's a 1968. Yeah, 1968 edition. And it explains the basic 7 laws of success that not only Mr. Armstrong followed, but all men. And this book, the original 1968 edition, has 63 pages. 63 pages. Keep that in mind. And this is the Philadelphia reprint of the 7 laws of success. This reprint, with this one in particular, was reprinted in 2008. And this book has nowhere near 62 pages. This book only has 35 pages. Now granted, there are actually full color pictures in this book, but again, it's not to compensate for a lack of almost 30 pages. Like, this book has literally been cut in half and put out into this book. So that's all the Armstrong books I have for today. I have much more coming in the mail, notably The Plain Truth About Christmas, The Rich Man and Lazarus. So it's fun. Like I said, it's my new hobby, collecting original booklets of Mr. Armstrong. So again, I hope you enjoyed these videos so you can actually see the differences rather than just tell you. I can actually show you in these videos, and now you know the truth.